Well, first of all, thank you for inviting us. Because after 2 years of being locked up, it is quite a welcome, let's say, a change of the daily home working routine. And it's very good also to be here at the university itself. I know that originally the planning was to do it in Valletta, which of course has been enclosed in my heart, I think, for already many years. But the real importance to have it at the university is to have direct engagement with you, because we are here to serve you, and that you can ask us any questions that you have. So we are at your disposal for today. Now, yeah, of course, it stands for European Cooperation in Science and Technology. Last November, we celebrated the 50th anniversary, 50th anniversary of the COST program. And basically, our mission has remained unchanged, that is to provide networking opportunities for people like you to meet with peers. It is our vision that we are indeed the most empowering research program in Europe. And that, of course, I have to back it up. Don't take it at face value. And we have set a few strategic priorities for Horizon Europe. So first and foremost, to promote and spread excellence wherever it is. COST also is very much focused on fostering interdisciplinarity. And this is not trivial, but we receive many interdisciplinary proposals. And contrary to many other, let's say, funding agencies, we have no panels. We are panel-less. We immediately link experts with a profile that is represented in the proposal to make an assessment. And that actually makes, COST really a place to be for interdisciplinary proposals, that you do not just fall off the table because you do not really fit into a particular panel. And last but not, and I'm happy to be the power and to retain young researchers. Let's see. Now, also a little bit of our organizational setup. We are an intergovernmental organization with very soon 41 members, or 40 members, sorry. Because we are going to welcome Ukraine. Hopefully in 2 weeks we take the formal decision. We receive the formal application, as well as Georgia. So you see that the geographical footprint of COST is much wider than that of the European Union. COST goes where other people cannot go. That's basically our mantra. We also have a cooperating member, Israel, and a partner member. Partner member actually means that, although not located in Europe, you're still part of the game. You promise to put aside, let's say, the national budget to pay for the expenditures of researchers. Now, that said, we see. Every time I click, you click, right? It looks as if I'm clicking. You get stuck, or the battery is dead. Can also be the case. Yeah, there we go. Now we have to go one back. Exactly. Just to give you a bit of an impression. COST funds networks that typically run for a period of 4 years. We have nearly 300 of those networks running. Their average budget is close to 135,000 euros. Doesn't seem like a lot, but that is because we do not pay the research itself, but we bring together, let's say, peer colleagues who already have the research projects, and on top we provide, let's say, a layer of networking opportunities to tie that together. For example, by organizing training schools or short-term scientific missions. I noticed we also have here a couple of colleagues from abroad, for that also is about mobility, of course. And the total community, of course, is more than 45,000 researchers big. So, and these are active researchers. So it's quite cool. Now let's see what happens. Yeah, okay. How it works by clicking. Of course, it starts with something that lives in the mind. The genius, main proposer affiliated to Maltese University, may even be here in the room. And the main proposer, of course, submits the proposal together with at least 6 other proposals. And that is the minimum condition. Plus, also we want, and you saw that maybe in the graph a moment ago, you have to have out of the 7 minimum of 50% of that, so 4 proposals from what we call an inclusiveness target country. In the jargon of the European Union, it's a widening country, but our geographical footprint is a lot wider, and that the widening, let's say, policy of the European Union includes. For example, if Ukraine would join, Ukraine is a widening country because it is less developed in terms of its research and innovation infrastructures. And ultimately, and that's the beauty of cost, the idea that once a proposal is approved, the cost network of all those members nominate people from their communities that have a close link to the subject of the proposal. Of course, primarily looking, were you a main proposer? I think it's fair. If you're a secondary proposer, that you're also considered. But that means that if you are, let's say, in this particular proposal with the Maltese main proposer, you come from Portugal, you have never submitted a proposal in your life, but you have, let's say, interest in a particular scientific field that is reflected in the proposal. You can be nominated. And that is making cost extremely inclusive. So we have many actions running with close to 30 or even more countries represented. So it gives you a flavor of the excellence-driven, let's say, inclusiveness. So cost is about inclusive excellence. Compared to the European Research Council, is very much, not only, but very much individual excellence. So inclusive excellence. Now, I already mentioned a couple of things that we do, but I wanted to highlight the extra, let's say, measures that we took to make sure that researchers from the inclusive target countries are well equipped to participate. So, like today, but also in many other occasions, we organize cost info days. The proposals themselves, as I mentioned, minimum of 7, but at least 50% proposals from those countries. Our external experts that evaluate proposals also, to a large extent, come from ITCs, and our inclusiveness policy in the end makes sure that if you have proposals that are more or less equal in their scoring, that they get an extra edge. If you have, for example, a main proposal from ITC or a lady, or what is the other criteria? Young researcher. So if you are a young female researcher from an ITC, you're in the best position, if it comes to the final fine-tuning of the cutoff point for proposals, because we of course have only a limited budget. We have more excellent proposals than we can fund. However, and what we'll go into detail about that, this year we are very happy that we can approve 70 proposals. It has been a long time, the level of 40, 45 proposals maximum. So this time we can approve 70, and next year again 70. And that is because we have a bit more budget available than at the end of Horizon 2020. Now, cost actions themselves, we make sure that the cost action at least has one leadership position filled by an ITC researcher. We make sure that there are specific conference grants for PhD researchers from those countries, and we have a let's say, financing or prepayment system. And if you are, let's say, from Serbia, and your monthly salary is of a different level, let's say, than in the UK, it makes quite a difference if you have to pay up front, your ticket and so forth. We have a prepayment system for that to make sure that we are as inclusive as possible. And last but not least, we offer, under the umbrella of our Cost Academy, all different kinds of training through capacity building. So if you want to be a grant holder and you want to know more about how to manage financially and administratively cost grant, you get training in the cost. You come over, please nowadays it's possible again to travel, otherwise we do it online. It's completely free of charge. and your travels are reimbursed. So if you are, let's say, somebody who's involved in science communication, you get training how to communicate about scientific topics via social media, or how do you build a good policy briefing, for example, if you want to make an impact with policymakers. All different kinds of opportunities you get, even without having submitted a single proposal in your life. Yeah. We're such a good team. You know? So whenever I fail, you back me up. So that's really the spirit. Now, I'm taking you with two more maps, different color coding. The map on the left actually represents in absolute numbers the number of researchers participating in POST programs. So the darker green the color, the more researchers from a particular country you have. Well, guess what? Big countries, and with quite well developed research and innovation infrastructures, and Germany is the UK, for example. They're high, let's say, or very dark green. However, if you look at the participation relative to the size of the community, and we know, for example, that Malta has a relatively small community in absolute terms compared to Germany or the UK, you see that the color coding actually changes. Right? Cyprus, Malta, the Balkan countries. I think it's for Malta more than a third of the Maltese community participates in POST. Right? Right? Exactly, exactly. Let's give it another try. Ah, there we go. Another map. Zoom out. Different colors. Well, you see in pink the magenta. The cost-full members, soon to be expanded with Ukraine and Georgia. And then you see a green, let's say, a ring around it that we call near neighbor countries. And people, researchers from those countries also can participate in cost and have their expenditures reimbursed. But they're not part of the management committee itself, they're not part of the, they cannot be a main proposer, something like that. But the orange includes, let's say, everyone in the world, because indeed everyone in the world can participate, but then you have to pay your own expenditure. So if you are, for example, from Patagonia here in Argentina, you have to pay your own ticket if you want to go to Costa Academy, for example. Right? Okay. There we go. Yeah. Oh yes. This gives an idea on how interdisciplinary proposals are that are submitted to POST. This is a harvest of one collection. You see all different kinds of bubbles and cross connections. It just gives you a graphical impression of the interdisciplinary nature of all the proposals that you receive. Indeed, if you look at empowering and also to retain young researchers, you have to take into account the career ladder. And this is a typical career ladder, obviously, in an academic environment, so starting from students to all the way to full professor. And what the beauty, I think, of the European Union's funding schemes is that for each stage of your career ladder, there is a grant scheme. And from Erasmus, Marie Curie to all the way in ERC Advanced. POST ties them all together because we have people from all different backgrounds coming together in a network. Occasionally, we even have a Nobel Prize winner. Right, so that is, I think, the strength of POST. So if you are, let's say, interested in a particular field, you join the POST Action. You meet the top researchers from other universities as well as your daily peers. Now, we implement, let's say, those priorities simply by offering networking opportunities as our core business. So the meetings and conferences, the training schools that are organized not by POST, this is not the POST Academy, by the way, this is the training school that is organized by an action itself on a particular topic in the field, typically lasts for a week or a few days. short-term scientific missions that allows you to go to another lab and either conduct, let's say, physical experiments or have exchanges with another faculty or whatever purpose you may think of in short-term mobility. Obviously, every action has dissemination activities. I would rather say communication activities. The action has a journey of 4 years. It's not the communication should be an afterthought. Yeah, we've done the research and now you sell it. You know, you publish it. No, it is there's an ongoing need on communicating about, you know, how cost action over time delivers results. You get actually one person in an action that is assigned the role of the science communication coordinator, who can then get training under the umbrella of the Cost Academy. And they are part of our network as somebody on our side, you know, who shares best practices and so forth, and who can answer questions. Last but not least, due to the pandemic, after some arm wrestling with the Commission, we managed to introduce the first 100% fully 100% virtual networking ground. So that actually allows you to more or less do the same as an STSM, but more flexible. Now, that is the core business, but on top we have value-added services. I mentioned already the Cost Academy to get training. The Cost Science and Foreign Policy Advice is really a focused effort from our side to make sure that results that are suitable to be communicated, you know, to policymakers are supported. Cost Connect events, I think, Bart, you are heavily invested in that. Maybe you can later say a few words about Cost Connect. These are stakeholder events, so another networking opportunity on top of the cost action. And last but not least, we have the possibility for actions that have innovation potential to apply for a Cost Innovators Grant. That is a 1-year add-on grant, so after the lifetime of an action that lasts 4 years, if you have innovation potential, you can apply for an extra year where you have to then deliver a business plan. So that's the end deliverable, with the idea that there is follow-up funding or, in the ultimate case, an investor. We have recently concluded a memorandum of understanding with EIT. For those of you who are familiar with the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, they fund these innovation communities in all different kinds of fields, and we have examples of cost actions that actually have made the jump successfully. Now, just a little bit of what's coming. Have you seen this picture some time ago in the newspaper or in journals? Supposedly that's the black hole. I thought you could never see a black hole, but actually they're able to. Well, that's the point, right? So this is a black hole. Well, I can see it. Why is it a black hole? Well, it is a black hole because, of course, there were measurements taken, and due to all different kinds of calculations, it's possible to establish a kind of a graphical picture, an image. And the Cost Action was working on, you know, how to make those calculations. So they did their part, you know, to come to the final result, which got the headlines at the time. Don't underestimate the positive impulse you get from participating in cost in your career. We have plenty of examples, and this is just one lady. And I said, well, because I was participating in Cost Action, I was successful in competing with my peers at the university to become an associate professor, because I can show, you know, that I have experience in European collaborative science. As a matter of fact, 88% of researchers indicate that participating in a Cost Action, you know, boosts their career. And a high level of recommendations, close to almost everyone says I would recommend it. And finally, I think it's not unimportant, participating in a cost program also gives you an excellent opportunity to meet others with whom you would like to submit a proposal in different parts of Horizon Europe. So this is what we call the spin-off proposals that spin off from cost actions. So every year 60 actions, and the total value of their spin-off proposals that are submitted successfully totals nearly 6 million per action on average. Can you imagine? There's 135,000 annual budget. There's an annual spin-off per action of 6 million. Now, the total of Horizon 2020 we calculated is more than 2.5 billion to 2.6 billion across. So it's an enormous leverage factor. We know that if you submit a proposal, your success rate is roughly 37%, actually a bit more. And if you compare it to the average success rate of 10-12% in Horizon programs, it triples your success rate. So you can join costs without having submitted a proposal, but if you do, you of course are very close to the fire, to the excitement where it happens. You can get all different kinds of added value, let's say opportunities, cost funding, cost trading, for example, and the leverage that you have, to use cost as a jumping board for follow-up funding is clearly there. And so with that, I would like to remain with my part of the presentation. If you agree, Bart, I immediately give you the handshake